Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, friends, ladies and gentlemen, everyone who is tuned on to the Life Signatures podcast. This is episode number 1304. We are marching on in the year 2023 and we are not going to relent on this daily show. Yesterday we did start a new series. I love doing series, and in this series we're talking about injecting purpose, injecting meaning. Guess what? In a job you hate. Why is this episode important? Why is this series important? Because I will tell you this. People by their droves, people by their millions are stuck in jobs they hate. It is a fact. In fact, if you go ahead and you Google, you make some statistics, people are not engaged. HR departments are grappling with the so-called employee engagement, so much so that people have been hired specifically to function there. So I want us to continue discussing these ideas of injecting meaning in a job you hate before you quit. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
My first ever long-term job came in a very interesting way. It's a long story, but I'll derive for you in a summary. First of all, I had a management information systems higher diploma. That's what I studied because I missed to go to university by 2 points or so. And so you can see that 2 points only made a heaven and earth difference between success and failure, because I went around thinking, believing, feeling like a failure, and even conducting myself like a failure. Even up to today, it affected me so much so that sometimes I don't feel I deserve some things in this life. And so the reason as to why I got that particular job, it was a recommendation. And I'm going to talk about recommendations probably at another point in time in these episodes. They are very powerful. Some of you think that you're going to get a job by reading the newspapers and seeing vacancies and then applying. Let me tell you something. Sometimes, for the most part, those applications are for fulfilling of all righteousness, mere formalities. But many people are actually getting employed due to recommendations. Someone sees you doing stuff and they put at the back of their mind how good you are, or maybe how bad you are, and later on it's going to occur to them, hey, wait a minute, there's a Lawrence somewhere. And that's why I normally tell people, young people, listen to this carefully. Interviews are not things that are happening in corporate organizations with an interviewing panel. That one has changed. Today, interviews are happening every single minute. Life itself is giving you an interview. You don't know who is watching. You don't know who is seeing what you're doing. When you are asleep, when you are waking up, you don't know. Life is already giving you an interview. It is up to you to show up, spruce yourself up and walk circumspect. And then the chance is going to come. And how did I do this? When I was in college, when I was in that school and I was doing a higher diploma, I applied myself like that was the only option I had. That was my plan A to plan Z, and I gave my all. Believe me, if you ask me, God knows, God is my witness, I gave my all to that course. For some of my friends who were taking that course, it was a bridge, it was a passing time as they were waiting for their results for university to come, and they were waiting for their applications they made to Americas and all the other things to come. I started with guys who were just taking this course as a stopgap measure so that they don't stay home and be bored. But for me, that was it. That was my life. And let me tell you, I gave my all. Unbeknown to me, someone in that particular college was watching me. So when I finished the college, I retreated to the village, and that's something that I hated to the core, because I knew that going to the village, there are no options in there, and I knew my goose was cooked. But anyway, this guy, as I am in the village, he is working at an IT company as an IT instructor / IT consultant. And then it happens that they have a vacancy. Then he is tasked and he says, "You guy just coming out of college, can you recommend someone?" He remembers me. Believe me, I never talked to this guy and told him that you need to look out for me. Never did I tell him that I need a job and so on and so forth. He just remembered my exploits at college in terms of application in study, and he knew that this is a good deal. Guess what? He calls me, looks for me and calls me, and I go there. The interview was formality. They had already made the decision. They had already declared that the recommendation is going to be it. They liked me and they hired me. Believe me, I gave my all once again in that particular job, and within 3 months, to be honest with you, there was nothing new for me. Absolutely nothing new for me to do in that particular place. Nothing. In a period of 3 months. But before those 3 months could end, I was green. Because in school, in college, I was a theory guy. I mean, been taught so much theory. But here, as an IT consultant, I was supposed to teach practical to people. In those days, people do not have computers. Computers are things you normally saw them in a cyber cafe or an internet cafe. Things that you saw with other people in big organizations. Laptops would be, if someone had a laptop, the whole country will know. I know I'm exaggerating, but you get the point. And therefore, my instruction or my responsibility was to learn to use the computer, right? And teach people how to use the computer. In other words, I was teaching people Microsoft Word and Microsoft Windows. Basically, how to use Windows as an operating system, or what the computer is, and so on. I give people exams, they pass, and so on. I teach people everything. So I learned how to study. I learned all these things in the computer world. I learned the whole of Microsoft Office. I taught myself all the graphics packages that were there, at least PageMaker and CorelDRAW and Illustrator and what else? Photoshop. I taught myself all that stuff. I taught myself QuickBooks and some other accounting packages. I equipped myself so much so that there was nothing left in 3 months' time. Nothing left. And the rest of the time was just to teach people. I got bored with that job. I kid you not. I got so bored I can tell you, I got old. At that moment in time, I was not even 25 years of age. Could be 22, maybe 21, I can't remember. But I was not old. But I looked old. Let me tell you why I looked old. I looked old. I knew I looked old because at some moment in time, I was this guy who was so bad with his attitude. I was summoned into the CEO's office. And the CEO was doing some kind of appraisals of the staff and so on and so forth. And of course, my attitude had been noted. And the CEO kind of hinted that she was going to do away with me or something like that. And being a Christian, she decided to put on this consolatory mode of communicating and trying to tell me that I'm a good person after all. And she said, "You are just 30, aren't you?" I was shocked. I said, "No, I'm 20, 21. I think I said 23 or something like that. But I was not 30. but I looked like I was 30. Why? Because I wasn't injecting purpose in my job. I hated that job to the core. See what it does? It affects the organization, number one. It affects you. Number two, we talked about this yesterday. It affects you in more ways that you could ever know. Your self-esteem is killed. Your sense of entitlement is killed. You need some sense of entitlement in this life, by the way. I know we're not supposed to be proud and so on and so forth, but for you to progress in this life, you need to have some sense of entitlement that you deserve to be a manager. Before you can become a manager, you need to have at least in your mind that you deserve to be one. But you cannot have such kind of entitled feelings coming your way, improving your self-esteem, when you are stuck in a job that you hate with a passion. That's why we are doing this series. I said earlier on, you ask some people in your vicinity who are going to work, who have jobs. Ask them about their love for their jobs. Invariably, if people are honest with you, a very big percentage will tell you they hate their job to the core. They hate it. Now, when you are hating your job and you're stuck on it, you're doing yourself a disservice. So I know you are scared, like I was scared of leaving that job and being jobless. They say a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. I normally ask people, what if the bird in the hand has a broken wing? What if the bird in the hand is poisonous? What if the bird in the hand is something you don't like? Is it still worth two in the bush? You get my point? Now, before you can get the two birds in the bush out there, before you can go to greener pastures, so to speak, and you're stuck in this one that you hate, how do you inject purpose inside of it to help turn yourself around? Those are the things that I want us to continue discussing in this new series. Tomorrow we delve deeper. Stay tuned.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.